move on and we can talk about Manchester City, Pete. Now, we know that the 115 charges have been explained. They've been announced in terms of the breakdown. What were your thoughts on the news and the categorization of all of the different charges?
Yeah, it was obviously quite lengthy, the breakdown of the charges. If you're looking as a neutral, it doesn't look good for Manchester City. That's what I would say in that respect. But obviously, they deny the charges and they are definitely contesting them, as we all know. And that's why this whole situation's been kicked down the road and everything else. I think they were charged in February 2023. We still don't have a date for when these charges will be heard, even though we've had Everton and Forest being charged and then obviously having their hearings done pretty quickly as well. Some rumours going around that those hearings could take place in the next few months. There was a report on Sky News suggesting that. And then obviously we had Richard Masters of the Premier League saying that they will be heard at some point this year as well, with potentially October penciled in as well. Again, 115 charges. It's a complex case, and you can see that with the breakdown of the charges as well. But yeah, Manchester City obviously continuing to deny any wrongdoing, and they will have their super lawyers on that case fighting their corner right now as well. But yeah, again, it's another issue that needs to be resolved, because despite all the success and everything that they're getting under Pep Guardiola, some people suggest that there is an asterisk on those potential title wins and everything else and all the success. And for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, with these 115 charges still there's a bit of a cloud hanging over them, and you wouldn't want that to sort of be continually hanging over them, because you wouldn't want it to diminish the achievements of what his teams have done over the years.
Well, speaking of that, Paul, do you think their potential fourth Premier League in a row, it looks pretty much all but set now, is it being overshadowed by this news? Do you think that fans actually are going to overlook this season because now the charges slowly are starting to come out and the case is starting to potentially unravel?
I think when you look at the charges, and if the information is correct, what we've got, I mean, there's 7 times breach of Premier League's PSR rules from 2015 to 2018. These aren't just these are allegations that date back a long time. And like you say, fans of other clubs will use this against Manchester City, and it always has been the elephant in the room when you talk about Manchester City and titles, title winning, etc. Everyone turns around and says, "Oh well, what about the 115 charges? They haven't done it fairly." All I'll say as a caveat to that, look at what they're about to achieve. 4 top flight titles. Nobody's ever done that. Not just Premier League, but ever. Top flight. And this is before there was any PSR rules. This is when Manchester United at their pomp were allowed to spend what they want. This is when Blackburn Rovers won the title with Jack Walker and he could spend what he wanted. Yes, it's not as much as what teams are spending now, but it's all relevant because of the time and the era that it was done in. So football teams over years have been able to spend whatever they wanted to do. So regardless of that, you look at what Manchester City have been able to achieve. You separate the achievement to the charges. The achievement is one thing because you compare it over a long period of time to when football clubs have been able to do that. But then the argument of the 115 charges is that they haven't done it within the rules of modern day football. So there's two arguments. I don't like the thought of going back over history, stripping teams of titles and taking medals away and giving them to other teams. It's just not right. That's done. Football's done. It's finished. Punish for the here and now. Punish going forward if that is to be the case. But Manchester City is still stringently arguing that they will fight these charges, that nothing will come of them. But when you look at them, it seems hard that they're going to be able to fight them all off, all 115 of them off, because there's some very serious allegations within that when you compare them to what's serious, when you compare them to what Everton and Forest have been charged with this season. But there's 2 sides to look at it. The footballing element, the four titles in a row is an incredible footballing achievement. Take everything aside, what they've done on the football field is absolutely incredible. What they've got coming with these charges, we're in some murky waters.
And Pete, do you think the club should be worried potentially? How do you think this sort of the investigation is going to be categorized given the amount of charges? Is it likely to be that they will be sanctioned for all of them at once? Could it be a breakdown over a long period of time? What's your rough prediction for a sanction if they are to be found guilty of some of these charges?
Yeah, it's tough to give a prediction because there's no clarity from these independent commissions of what they might do. I think it would make sense if they were going to break it down and charge them for each or give a punishment for each charge. It probably would make more sense, but there's no punishment known as yet of what might happen to Manchester City. There's obviously rumours of points deductions, relegations and everything else. That's just speculation at this time right now. So it's difficult to say. As I said, it's a complex case. How the Premier League and this independent commissions deal with it, we'll just have to wait and see, because there's no really point in predicting what might happen, because we tried to predict what they were going to do with Nottingham Forest and Everton, and we got a lot of that wrong, I think, and that was only one charge. It's 150 of these this time, so who knows what's going on. All I know is that the lawyers from the Premier League and the lawyers from Manchester City will be earning a lot of money.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.